Welcome to our English Grade 1 students. Today we'll continue with Unit 14, The Weather. Today's lesson will be a grammar lesson focusing on comparative and superlative adjectives. First, let's look at some of the vocabulary we'll see today. Our first word, adjective, we've seen many times before, and it describes the noun. It tells us more about the noun. The word comparative is something that compares two nouns, and the word superlative is a type of adjective that compares more than two nouns, and in some sentences can include all of the nouns. Let's practice words number 2 and number 3 quickly. Listen carefully. Comparative has 4 syllables, so let's go slowly. Comparative. Excellent. Let's practice number 3. It's nice and easy. The first part we should know. Superlative. Again, 4 syllables. Listen carefully. Superlative. Let's practice them together. Comparative and superlative. Okay, I know these are very big words, boys and girls, and these are basically just talking about the different degrees of adjectives that we will learn as we go through English. There are many rules that go with this, and you'll learn a lot more about them in grade 2 and grade 3 as well. So for now, just focus on the words and listen to the rules, and specifically the spelling rules. Let's continue. Our lesson today, comparative and superlative adjectives. What is an adjective? An adjective is a word that describes a noun. Let's look at 2 examples. Number 1, the giraffe has a long neck. In this sentence, the word long is an adjective and it describes the noun neck. Sentence 2, the tall tree is behind the house. Again, in this sentence, the word tall is the adjective and it describes the noun tree in our sentence. Nice and easy. We know what adjectives are. So let's go learn a bit more about comparative adjectives. So a comparative adjective is a special type of adjective. Let's learn a little bit about its rules. An adjective is said to be in the comparative degree when it is used to compare two nouns. If we look a little bit deeper into the word comparative comes from the word compare, which means that we look at two things and we find things that are the same or different about those things. In our example, let's compare the 2 balls in the picture. The yellow one is a ball used for a sport called tennis, and we call it a tennis ball. The black and white ball is a soccer or football ball. In our sentences, we will use soccer. From this, we can make 2 very easy sentences. The tennis ball is small. The soccer ball is small. That's nice and easy, and we already know the adjective small is describing something that is not very big. Both balls are quite small. But are they the same size? How do we differentiate between the 2? How can we tell what is different? Let's look at sentence number 1. The tennis ball is smaller than the soccer ball. In this sentence, the word smaller is the adjective used to compare the two different balls. Okay, and just like in many rules in English, the thing we are talking about will define what type of adjective we will use, if it'll be comparative or a superlative adjective. So if we speak about the soccer ball first, the adjective we use will change. So again, our simple sentences remain the same. The tennis ball is small, the soccer ball is small. But if we want to compare the soccer ball, again, we will not use the adjective small. Let's see what happens. If we read sentence number 1, the soccer ball is bigger than the tennis ball. So when we change the first thing that we talk about in our sentence, for this example, the soccer ball, it cannot be smaller than a tennis ball, so we change the adjective to make it more accurate. In this sentence, the word bigger is the adjective used to compare the two balls. So the rule to remember for comparative adjectives is that we add ER to the adjective in the comparative form. So we take the normal adjective and we plus ER at the end of the word. Another very important rule to remember, the word than will always be after the adjective. Bigger than, smaller than. And that will always be in the middle of your two nouns. Let's read our 3 example sentences. Number 1, Ben is smarter than Kevin. In this sentence, we're talking about Ben and Kevin. And we know that Ben is a very clever boy because he is smarter than Kevin. Let's read sentence 2. The cherries are sweeter than the strawberries. Okay, both are sweet, but cherries are sweeter than the strawberries. And last one, sentence number 3. My ruler is longer than yours. Very simple and easy to understand sentences. As you can see, the 3 adjectives smart, sweet, and long have been changed to the comparative form by adding ER to the end of the word. And of course, the word than will always be after that. Smarter than, sweeter than, longer than. If you can remember that simple rules, boys and girls, or those simple rules, then you shouldn't have any problem in fixing your sentences with the comparative adjectives. Now let us learn about the superlative adjectives. So an adjective is said to be in the superlative degree when it is used to compare 3 or more nouns. We can use anything from 10 to 20 or even 100 different nouns, but it has to be 3 or more. Alright, boys and girls, this isn't 100% the correct, but I promise you it's the easiest way to remember a superlative adjective. The word superlative has the word super, which means it's the best, just like a superhero. So if we look at 3 or more things, we find the one thing that is the best. It can be the smallest, the biggest, the strongest, or the weakest, but it has to be the best of all 3 of the choices. So for our example, we will add an extra ball. So first we have the tennis ball and the soccer ball. Now we're comparing 3 balls from the picture, and ball number 3 is a basketball. Alright, hopefully you know what these balls are, so this should be nice and easy. Let's make some easy sentences from here. If we think about it, these balls are not very big, so we can even make the 3 same sentences. The tennis ball is small, the soccer ball is small, the basketball is small. All right, nice and easy sentences. If we look at sentence number 1, the tennis ball is the smallest ball. All right, that's nice and easy. Even if we look at the tennis ball, the soccer ball, and the basketball, the smallest one means there's not any ball that is smaller than him, is the tennis ball. In our sentence, we have tennis ball and ball as our nouns, but it refers to all of the balls in the picture. And in our sentence, the word smallest is the adjective used to compare all three balls. Or, just like in all of the other English things, if we change the thing that we speak about first, the adjective will change. So if we speak about the basketball first, do you think we can still use smallest as my correct adjective? Or will the adjective change? Let's find out. Again, boys and girls, we will use the same system. The tennis ball is small, the soccer ball is small, and the basketball is small. But if we were to talk about the basketball and compare it to the other two balls, which adjective do you think we can use? If we read sentence number 1, the basketball is the biggest ball. All right. He's bigger than the soccer ball and he is bigger than the tennis ball. Of all these three balls, he cannot be the smallest. He is definitely the biggest. And in this sentence, the word biggest is the adjective used to compare all three of the balls. So the important rules to remember for superlative adjectives is, remember, we add est to the adjective in the superlative form. In our example, we used the adjective big and we change it to biggest. We add est to the end of the word. Or for example, the word small, we add est to the end and it'll change to smallest. Our final rule to remember is that when we create a sentence with a superlative adjective, biggest, tallest, smallest, is that we will always see the before the adjective. In our sentence, you can see teachers made it in pink. The word the will always be before the adjective. The biggest, the smallest. Nice and easy. Let's read our 3 example sentences. Number 1, Andrew has the biggest feet. We can look at all 3 photos and what color what color shoe do you think Andrew is wearing? Definitely the one on the left with the orange shoelaces. Those look like the biggest feet. Do we see how in the sentence we have the biggest together? Sentence 2, cheetah is the fastest animal. Again, same rule, fast plus est, and before the adjective, the fastest. And sentence number 3, the lion made the loudest sound. Okay, nice and easy. Let's go look at some extra rules. Alright, just like in many other things for English, there are always extra rules, and you'll probably learn a lot more about these in grade 2 and in grade 3. For now, you don't have to know them all very well, but you definitely need to know some of them. So please listen, and maybe you can remember them when you go to grade 2. Okay, some rules about forming comparatives and superlatives. One-syllable adjectives generally form the comparative by adding er and the superlative by adding est. We can look in our 3 squares. We have our 4 adjectives: tall, smart, cold, sweet. And of course we change the comparative nice and easy, just like we've taught. we add ER. Taller, smarter, colder, sweeter. And remember, after those words, we'll always see the word than. Taller than, smarter than, for example. And of course, as superlatives ones, we add EST. Tallest, smartest, coldest, and sweetest. Number 2, if an adjective ends in a consonant plus Y, so for example, RY, TY, or NY, if we see that at the end of the word, for examples dry, pretty, shiny, and dirty, the last 2 letters are consonant plus the letter Y. If this happens, we must change the letter Y to the letter I, and then we still add ER or EST just like we are practicing. Dry, drier, driest. Do you see how the letter Y changes to I, and then we plus ER or EST? Pretty, prettier, prettiest. Shiny, shinier, shiniest. Dirty, dirtier, and dirtiest. Lastly, rule number 3, if the adjective is a very short word, usually 3-letter words, boys and girls, and they're definitely 1 syllable, and they end, the last 3 letters are consonant, vowel, consonant. So for example, our word here is hot. H is consonant, O is a vowel, and T is another consonant. What we need to do for this is we need to double the last consonant of the word, and then again we add ER or EST. So for example, thin, we make a double letter N, thinner, or thinnest. Again, we double the letter N. Same for big, bigger, biggest. We double the letter G. Fat, fatter, fattest. We double the letter T. And hot, hotter, hottest. We double the letter T. Okay, these are some extra rules, boys and girls, and hopefully you don't have to remember them all too well, but you must know the words on the next page. So practice reading them out loud with your teacher. Okay, so let's read this page together nice and slowly. How cold is cold? How hot is hot? Ali asked himself. He drew some pictures. Okay, so boys and girls, you need to know all 3, 6, 9, 12 of these words. They will be in your final exam. So make sure you practice reading them well and practice writing and spelling later on. So let's read together. Cold, colder, coldest. Hot, hotter, hottest. Wet, wetter, wettest. Strong, stronger, strongest. Okay, those rules are very tricky to think about, but when we see them here, if we look at the first wind, it is very strong. But in picture number 2, the wind is stronger than the first wind. And in picture number 3, that is the strongest wind of all 3. Same if we look at this poor little ant. The last ant has a lot of water, so he is the wettest of them all. The one in the middle has a little bit of water. He is definitely wetter than the first one. And the first one, he just looks like he is a little bit wet. Nice and easy, boys and girls. Make sure you practice these words a lot before going to the next slide. Okay, boys and girls, let's practice. Time to get your notebook and pencils prepared. You will also need a ruler to draw a nice table for teacher in your book. Okay, pencils down quickly, please listen. Remember grade 1A and grade 1B, you guys are studying on different days. So grade 1A, use the dates Tuesday the 11th of May 2021. And grade 1B, you will use Wednesday the 12th of May 2021. Our title for today, Comparative and Superlative Adjectives. Remember to skip a line and then write these three headings: adjective, comparative, superlative. Draw a nice big square, as big as your book will let you, and make sure you use a ruler to underline these headings. After that, we can see teachers wrote the words tall, taller, and tallest under the correct heading. Number 2 has blank, colder, coldest. You need to try and figure out what is the correct adjective for colder and coldest. We look at number 3, hot, blank, hottest. And this one you need to fill in the correct comparative adjective. For the next one, wet, wetter, blank. For this one you'll need to also copy the blank for the superlative adjective. Can you remember the rule for how to spell it correctly? And of course the last one, the adjective is strong, and the comparative blank and the superlative blank. You will need to fill in the correct comparative and superlative for this adjective. Boys and girls, this is going to be nice and tricky, so teacher will give you 10 minutes to copy this, and remember to check your spelling when you're finished. Good luck, boys and girls. Students studying at home, please pause the video now. Students studying in Google Meet with Teacher David, teacher will ask you to review some of your answers now. If you still need more time, please ask teacher in the classroom now. If you're ready to continue to the next slide, let's continue. Alright, boys and girls, let's have a quick look at our homework. For our homework, please prepare workbook on page 64 and 65. If you need some time to prepare, please pause the video now. Let's read our instructions. Our title, ER and EST. Fill in the blanks using the words below. Boys and girls, do you see how the first orange square has 3 words? Or the first orange rectangle, sorry. Strong, stronger, strongest. Under that, again, 1 orange rectangle, 3 words. Hot, hotter, hottest. And the same for the last 2. Cold, colder, coldest. And the last one, wet, wetter, and wettest. So boys and girls, on page 64 there are 2 sentences, number 1 and number 2. And on page 65 is questions number 3 and 4. For each question there is 3 blanks. So you need to use all 3 words from 1 square for 1 question. So the teacher will help you with number 1. So let's go. Number 1, it is snowing. Alice feels blank. Okay, Alice, there's only one thing in the sentence. There's no comparative or superlative, so think carefully which adjective we can use here. Let's keep going. Jill feels blank than Alice. Okay, Jill and Alice are the 2 nouns in our sentence, and we're comparing these 2. Do you remember which adjective we put before the word than? Jill feels blank than Alice. Let's keep going. Souping is playing with snow for the first time. She feels the blank. Do you remember which adjective will come after the? These are nice and easy clues, boys and girls, so make sure you think carefully about which adjectives go where. Let's read our answer. Number 1, it is snowing. Alice feels cold. Jill feels colder than Alice. Suping is playing with snow for the first time. She feels the coldest. So remember to check your answers when they're finished, boys and girls. Cold, colder, and coldest is now finished. You only have 3 others to choose from: hot, strong, and wet for the last 3 sentences. So make sure you look at the questions, boys and girls. Read the sentences carefully and look for clues. For example, number 2, his legs are blank. Okay, in that sentence there's only one noun, his legs. So is it comparing 2 or 3 things? I don't think so. If we keep reading, his legs are blank. Gopal has a small umbrella. He is blank. And number 3, Ali tries to cover his head with a handkerchief. He is the blank. So for the most part, boys and girls, you should be able to follow the basic system of writing cold, colder, coldest, or strong, stronger, strongest, or wet, wetter, wettest in the correct spaces. Okay, read the sentences, look at the pictures, and write the correct words in the correct place. Good luck, boys and girls. Alright, very well done, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please make sure you ask Teacher David in Google Meet right now, and we can see how we can help you out. Alright, have fun and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye!